I go. Here is my first episode of the podcast. We are discussing about the marriages or the recognizable marriages in Kenya. The divorce process, the marriage process, and everything containing the marriage. I'm here today with my guest. She is an advocate of the High Court of Law. You can introduce yourself.
Uh, thank you, Sam. Let me say that it is a privilege, it is an honor to be here. My name is Caroline Wangui Mwangi. I am an advocate of the High Court of Kenya, a mediator, a certified mediator, and I'm also a professional teacher, TSC registered. And I am a wife, a mother, definitely a daughter, a sister, and a friend.
Wow, you have quite so many titles: a mother, a teacher, an advocate. So you are a disciplinarian in your house.
Well, of course, I regard discipline very highly. Having a background in teaching, discipline automatically happens. Let me also say that discipline is important. You cannot become anything without discipline. So yes, you can also call me a disciplinarian.
Okay.
Yes.
So we are going to start this. This is our first episode, our first podcast. We are going to talk about the marriages in Kenya, and the recognizable marriages according to the law of Kenya. You will go and tell us how many types of marriages you have, the process of getting married, and the divorce process. So feel comfortable. I'm happy to have you here.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
So you are not advocate of law.
Yes, I'm an advocate of the High Court of Kenya, yes.
Okay. No, okay, let's get to a topic. Could you tell us about what is marriages in the Republic of Kenya, according to the law?
Well, I think marriage is a very broad concept. Everybody has their own understanding of what marriage is, but what the law provides, the Marriage Act, that is the law that governs marriages in Kenya, provides that marriage is a union, a voluntary union between two, and that must be a man and a woman.
So the marriage has to be between a man and a woman.
Yes, those are the only recognizable marriages in Kenya.
Okay.
Must be between a man and a woman. Also mark that it must be voluntary.
In some communities, I hear there are people who are forced to marry a certain person. So those are not recognized by the law of Kenya.
Exactly. You'd be very right to say that such a marriage is not recognized under the law because as we have defined, that it is a voluntary. So this means that the person has to get into this marriage willingly by their own accord.
Okay. Honestly, I didn't know that. Now, okay, let me ask you, what the age limit that is required by the law for one to get married?
Okay, that's also a very good question because we are Kenyans, we are Africans. There's so many traditions that provide for so many things, but under the law, that is under the Constitution and also the Marriage Act, any person, any man or woman who wants to contract a marriage, they must be 18 years and above. So if you're below 18 years, you cannot get into any marriage legally.
What if I'm a man? I want to marry a lady who is 16 years. Will I be the wrong side of the law?
You will be in the very, you will be at loggerheads with the law because legally speaking, this 17-year-old, 16-year-old is a child. Yes, they are not of the age of majority. And aside from you wanting to get into this marriage, should you get into it, you will be liable for some criminal offenses.
Can I just marry anyone? Or can I just marry any relative?
It is important to understand that the way we have defined that marriage is a voluntary union, you cannot just marry anybody because you would want to marry me and yet I don't want to marry you. So out of the operation of the law, that one cannot be called a marriage. So it is not just any woman or any man whom you can marry. There is what the law calls prohibited marriages or prohibited classes of people who cannot marry. For example, you cannot marry your parents. You can't marry your grandparents. There are so many people who are closely related to you by blood, those ones you cannot marry. You also cannot marry those people who are closely related by blood to your spouse or your former spouse.
Is this according to law or is it according to how you are brought up?
This is according to the law. For example, now, when you're talking about a civil marriage, a Christian marriage, they prohibit you marrying your cousin. But in the Islamic faith, you could marry your cousin and that marriage would be legal. So it is, and that is the only exemption in the Marriage Act for a cousin under the Islamic law. But if you're to get into these other forms of marriages, then a cousin is a no-go zone for anybody who wants to marry.
And how many types of marriages do you have?
There are various types of marriages. The Marriage Act provides for a marriage held under Christian beliefs, that is a Christian marriage. It also provides for a civil marriage. It provides also for customary marriages. These ones are marriages that you can that are gotten into following a person's customs and culture. And we also have Islamic marriages. We also have Hindu marriages. So those are the 5 types of marriages that are recognized in Kenya. Each of them are unique in their own ways, and they are all very, very different. Yes, but what is important is that in all these marriages, what is there is that it must be, whatever type of marriage you decide to contract, it must be between a man and a woman. Those people must be 18. It must be voluntary, among other characteristics that need to be looked into before that marriage is said to be legal.
I have seen on social media somewhere where a mother married his son.
Mm-hmm.
So that is basically wrong.
That is very, very wrong. From where I stand, even without the operation of the law, I think that is very, very wrong. But the law also prohibits that kind of a union. It will never be legal. So, except those people are just doing it maybe for enjoying themselves, that is not a marriage. Yes, both I am a Christian, both under my faith and also the operation of the law of the country.
For instance, where is it said that there certain marriage cannot happen, or what kind of marriage that cannot happen according to the laws of Kenya, even if both of you are 18 years?
Mm-hmm.
Where is it said that there a certain marriage cannot happen?
Well, the Marriage Act, the way it is, has sections. So there is a section that gives details about what types of marriages are prohibited. So it is basically the prohibited brackets of people are provided for under the law, and that is under the Marriage Act. Yes, so if you really want to know details about the Marriage Act, we may not have enough time now to talk about everything that the Marriage Act entails, but the groups of people that can marry is provided for there.
For me, I'm a Christian. Can I marry a Hindu lady? Is it possible according to them?
Well, it is very possible. Remember, we have said that marriage must be voluntary. It must also be between two consenting adults. So the law does not prohibit the person you want to marry. It cannot come and tell you that you need to marry Wamboi, you need to marry Atieno, and such like things. You can marry whoever you want to marry, but before marrying this person, you need to consider, is this woman I'm married, is she first of all a woman? Is she 18 years? Is she is she an adult? Is she also, you need to also consider that marriage is like what we would call a contract, because it is an agreement of two people who are agreeing that we are going to live together, take each other as husband and wife. So not only are these characteristics we're saying, the three, the age and the man, and it must be voluntary, this person must also be sane. They must be able to get into this marriage, like they can contract. There is nothing that bars them from entering into an agreement under the law. So is this woman you want to marry, is she sane? Does she understand that I am getting into a marriage, and she must also be willing to get married to you?
Is there any grace period that I'm given by the law to legally marry her?
No, there's no grace period. If you're talking about courtship, you can court for as long as you want. Basically, the Marriage Act or the laws of Kenya don't dictate the period of time you need to get to know this person before you marry this person. Of importance is knowing that if you live together the way we normally do, most people, even our neighbors, do it. They just come together, go to the parents and just say, I've gotten a husband, and then start living together. And to them, they're husband and wife. That one is not would not be recognized, and that is why the Marriage Act is important. That most people embrace and understand what it entails, so that you know that whatever you're having with your supposed husband is just a relationship. It is not a marriage. Even if you stay with that woman for 5 years, 10 years, that is never going to be a marriage, because for a marriage to be said it is a marriage, it must be registered.
So can we say, according to the laws of Kenya, it's not a recognized marriage?
It is not a recognized marriage. Most of the people who find themselves in the situation that they are in a come-we-stay relationship normally say that I am married to him because dowry has been paid. My people have received gifts from his family, and people, my neighbors, everybody knows that I am Mrs. So-and-so. But under the law, you are not married. Why? Because this marriage is not registered. For any marriage to be said to be a marriage, it must be registered. So, can we stay? However long you stay in the can we stay, it will never be a recognized marriage, at least not now under the current law.
Once couples get married in for example, a church wedding, they are given a certificate.
Yes.
Is it of importance?
Yes. It is very important. It is proof of marriage. It is proof. That is the documentation. It's just like saying that I am a Kenyan and yet you do not have an ID card. It is proof. Yes, you're married, but how do we know? How do government agencies know that you're married? It is by proof of the marriage certificate. So basically it doesn't have any value per se, because it will not help in running the marriage or governing the marriage, but it is just proof that indeed so and so is married to so and so.
Okay, let me ask you this question. Are there situations when it is said that there was no marriage?
Yes, there are situations that marriages cannot be said to have taken place or to have happened. I'll give you various instances where parties, the man and the woman, not that now we are married, but in the eyes of the law, they really were not married. The first situation is where either party is less than 18 years. That is a marriage of a child, that one, under the law, whether civil, whether I highly doubt that it will pass the civil registration process, because the parties wanting to contract civil marriages, and actually even right now, even the Christian marriages, the process of registration requires these people to provide their details. So maybe earlier on, when we didn't have the mechanisms that are there now, maybe parties would have gotten away with it. Also, if parties are within the prohibited relationships, for example, if you want to marry a woman like me wanting to marry my father or my cousin or my brother, that one would it even if by any chance it did happen, the same would not be allowed. Also, when there was a case of mistaken identity. Mistaken identity is a situation that I am not who you think I am. Then that way, if the marriage did happen, the same would not be said to be a proper marriage. Also, when the person the person contracting this marriage does not give consent freely. For example, we've heard of customs that force people to get married, that you had been booked by a certain family when you were a young girl, and then now they want to enforce that arrangement that had been there previously, gotten into by the parents or whoever had made the arrangement. So even such a marriage would not hold. And then can you imagine if you're in a marriage ceremony and then the groom does not appear?
Does it happen?
Well, I'm saying that is also one situation where such a marriage would not be said to have taken place, that there is no marriage. If either party, the man or the woman, are absent from the ceremony, then those kinds of marriages, if those instances were to happen, then the same would not be said to be a marriage. Ordinarily, what happens when you get the registrar's certificate, because what is happening nowadays is that people have to make an application from their e-citizen accounts, then go to the registrar's office and get the registrar's certificate that you're now going to present to the church for signing, to be signed by the officiating officer. Then this certificate that you get, the wedding ceremony must happen because it is 60 days. 60 days from the day you make the application to when the marriage happens. It must be 60 days. So previously, people never used to have that legal requirement, but that certificate, and you know the time, these 60 days start running from when you make the application. So it must be very properly timed, that the wedding ceremony must take place within these days, failure to which then the marriage will not be considered to be a legal marriage.
So if you get your certificate, say you are supposed to get by today, then you do it a week later. It's not recognized.
It cannot be a legal marriage, that one. It cannot be, because it has already fallen. The date for the ceremony fell after when the certificate was valid.
What if circumstances force you to not to get married on the same day and push it a week later?
If the circumstances force you not to conduct the wedding ceremony when you had anticipated, then what that means is that you have to reapply afresh. Because remember that it is this registrar certificate that you're presenting to the officiating minister so that the same can be signed. So, and you cannot sign that document that is on the days that are already passed when it is supposed to be signed.
Thank you, Caroline, for agreeing to come to our first episode. And you have really educated us about the marriage process, the divorce process, everything that is contained in the marriage. Actually, I've known things that I didn't know that they are supposed to be covered by the law of Kenya. I'm so happy. I'm sure it's going to educate a lot of people, and people are going to learn and know the process to go about it. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you, Sam, also for having me. Let me also say that this is also my first time to do a podcast. It's been quite a challenge as well. And if you will allow me as a parting shot to tell people that it is important, registering your marriage is very important for you, because you do not know about tomorrow, and it is an easy process. I don't know why people are afraid to do it. Also, we can say that it is cost effective. It is not very, very costly. So get your marriage registered. You do not know about tomorrow. Those people you're laughing with today, saying my sister-in-law, my mother-in-law, tomorrow you're having a very good relationship with them today. Tomorrow they could be very, very, very bad enemies who would fight you in case your spouse dies. It is also important to know that, please, do not die in a marriage that is not working. There is no honor in losing your life or being hurt. It will do you a lot of damage to stay in an abusive relationship. So, as early as now, please get out of that marriage. Seek the intervention of lawyers, seek the intervention of your church, seek the intervention of your family, but save yourself.
So basically, you are saying you are telling people not to stay in toxic marriages.
I would say if it is not working,
just move out.
Yes.
Okay, know that. Like you have just had that. If it's not working, just move on. Just leave it. Thank you once again for agreeing to come.
Thank you so much.
So now, tell someone. Thank you.